Now I'm going to take a couple of cases of women here, African women in this case, who are very big on multiculturalism and mass immigration, and are very concerned about direct provision and so on. Now they're living in Ireland for a number of years, but it seems that they want to make Ireland more multicultural. So let's take a look at both of these ladies. Okay, so first of all, this lady Joy Tendai, here's a comment she made a couple of weeks back about wanting to make Ireland more multicultural, and I responded by saying, would you like it if I went to your home country of Zimbabwe and tried to make it more multicultural? How do you think the local people would like that? And Dr. Ebon Joseph here was on the Tonight Show, I think it was last week, and she was making this claim about people who even have legal visas into Ireland, they are deported at the airport. That is not true. Okay, I've spoken to Gardaí over the last couple of years, and I can tell you that is not true. So, you know, it's quite frustrating. Like, you have two people here who have benefited from being in Ireland, who have availed of Irish generosity and decency, and yet they're turning around and they want to make Ireland more multicultural and want to have more asylum seekers and so on. But if you look at both of these women's backgrounds, you can see, first of all, this woman, Joy T. Kangara. Now, first of all, I will say, you know, her child died in 2013, and that's terrible. And I do feel very sorry for her. It must be awful to lose a child, especially in tragic circumstances. However, if you look at the situation, she moved to Ireland in 2002. She didn't come from the EU. She came from Africa. She wasn't married to an Irish citizen, and she wasn't in direct provision. So the only way that she could have been allowed to stay in Ireland would be if this child here was used as an anchor. And that is what happens there. So the child was used as an anchor, which meant that the child became an Irish citizen, and that meant that this lady here was allowed to stay, of course, as the legal guardian of the child. And she herself would have become an Irish citizen a few years later as well. And a similar story with Dr. Ebon Joseph. If you look at this article here, she came over in 2002, April 2002. That article was written, I know I'm going a bit fast here, but article was written in 2018. She came over in 2002, and she has a child. If you look down here, she has a child aged 16. So that means she came over pregnant in 2002. She had the child on Irish soil, therefore Patrick here automatically became an Irish citizen, and that meant that his mother, Dr. Ebon Joseph, was allowed to stay as the legal guardian, and then she herself would have been able to apply for Irish citizenship a few years later. So there's a bit more information to be found about birthright citizenship during those years of 98 to 2004. I'd recommend you to take a look at that video there from Big Taboo. It's very interesting. But my point of making this video is just the attitude of these two women when they have been so fortunate really as to have availed of that loophole in Irish law, and yet they turn around and repay that generosity by agitating and campaigning for more multiculturalism for Ireland. I just think this is the height of ignorance, and I just wanted to point that out. I'm not in any way meaning to target these two women, you know, in any way. I'm not saying anything negative about them as people. They could be perfectly nice people, but I just think it's exceptionally irresponsible and hypocritical what the two of those women are doing when they have been so fortunate to have availed of Irish generosity and decency and had a second chance, you know, in life, coming over to Ireland, and yet here they are campaigning for Ireland to become more multicultural. I think this is just a height of ignorance.